You're listening to ฝึกฟังภาษาอังกฤษชิลๆกับเจ้าของภาษาโดยครูโรซี่ Hi everybody and welcome to podcast number 11. I hope you're doing well and that you're having a good week. So I'm all good myself, but actually I've had an extremely busy week or so, possibly 2 weeks. So this morning I woke up wondering what the topic of today's podcast should be. And all I could think of was how incredibly busy I am these days. So then it occurred to me that today I would teach different idiomatic expressions to say I'm busy without using the word busy all the time. So for me, I personally love teaching idioms just because they can make your English sound more advanced and often even more native. However, I would say that it's important not to overuse idioms, as this will actually make your English sound unnatural and forced. So if you do want to use idioms, just make sure you're using them in a natural way, not in a forced way. Okay, so let's begin then with different ways to say I'm busy. Okay, so the first idiom that I'm going to teach you today is not too difficult, and that is busy as a bee, or as busy as a bee. So we can either say as before or with no as. So busy as a bee or as busy as a bee. So both of them are exactly the same. Okay, so you may wonder why in English do we say busy as a bee? Why do we compare a person to a bee? So a bee is actually a very hardworking creature, and we can always see it buzzing around. When we normally see a bee, it's not normally just chilling. Well, it may be, but normally it's buzzing around, flying around. And this is because they collect pollen and nectar in order to pollinate plants and flowers. So in order to reproduce, many plants actually depend on bees for pollination. In addition, bees collect nectar and use it to make honey. And also, did I mention that they have to build hives to live in? So it's no surprise then that British people compare busy people to a bee. And you may also be wondering how old this idiom actually is. So I did a little bit of research online, and I found that this idiom goes back to at least the 14th century. It was found in a book called The Canterbury Tales, which was written by Geoffrey Chaucer. And this book is believed to have been written between the years 1387 and 1400. So I thought it was very interesting how old this idiom actually is. So yes, just an interesting fact for you all. Okay, so let's look at this example idiom in a sentence. Okay, so we could say, instead of saying I've been busy for the last week, we can say I've been busy as a bee for the last week. I've been busy as a bee for the last week. So apart from the animal, or should I say insect, a bee, British people also compare busy people to the animal, a beaver. Okay, so as you may know or may not know, beavers are very good examples of hard workers in the animal kingdom. So beavers have the ability to build dams in streams and rivers, and they use dams as comfortable burrows for their large families. And to build their homes, they use branches and trunks that they cut down themselves using their sharp teeth. Okay, so this is why British people choose the word beaver to describe a very busy person, because like I said, beavers are hardworking, they're diligent, and yeah, they're always doing something with their teeth lots of the time. Okay, so let's look at an example sentence. So instead of saying, for example, John is always busy, we can say John is always as busy as a beaver. Okay, so it's quite simple. It's very similar to the idiom with bee. We say as busy as a bee or as busy as a beaver. So let's move on now to the next idiom. The next idiom is I'm up to my ears in work, or I'm up to my neck in work. Okay, so this is quite like a fun idiom that shows how much work we have. So it creates the image that like we're drowning in work. So it's the idea that maybe we have paper, we have documents, it could be homework that basically are surrounding us, and that work is surrounding us, like I said, and it comes up to our ears or it comes up to our neck. So like I said, it's kind of gives the impression that we're drowning in our work. So we may say, for example, sorry, I can't come to dinner tonight. I'm up to my ears in work. Okay, or we may say, sorry, I can't come to dinner tonight. I'm up to my neck in work. So we can either use the word ears or neck. Okay, there's no difference between these two idioms. They're just exactly the same. So for me, this is one of my favorite idioms. I think it's just the image that it portrays is quite vivid. This idea that we're just like drowning in the work. It's like documents around us. There's maybe a laptop, books. So we're basically surrounded by all of this work. So next, another idiom that's very similar to this idiom, and that is, I'm buried in work. Okay, so I said that I gave the example sentence, sorry, I can't come to dinner tonight. I'm up to my ears in work. So we can change the sentence and say, sorry, I can't come to dinner tonight. I'm buried in work. So again, I don't really need to go into too much detail about this idiom because again, it's like we are buried in the work. There's so much of it. It's all around us. We can't breathe because we have so much work to do. So it kind of gives the image of books or documents, of homework, and just so many things that we are responsible for and we need to finish maybe as soon as possible. So let's now move on to the next idiom. The next idiom is, I've got a lot on my plate. Okay, one more time. I've got a lot on my plate. Okay, so this just means, again, that we're very, very busy. It means that we have a large or excessive amount of things to do or to deal with. So I read online, I did a little bit of research, and I kind of imagined the idiom, but just wanted to check 100%. But it's basically the meaning that we have a plate. Normally the plate has food on it. But in this case, instead of food, it is work. So this idiom creates an image of maybe having too much food on our plate. Okay, maybe too much food that we can't eat. Okay, so for example, we may say, let's meet when I'm more free. Right now, I've got a lot on my plate. Okay, one more time. Let's meet when I'm more free. Right now, I've got a lot on my plate. So again, yeah, we can imagine that maybe, yes, somebody's very, very busy, and instead of the work surrounding them, actually the work is on their plate and they're trying to eat or do their work, but they can't. It's basically overfilled this plate with too much work to do. And again, as I said, it could be used with homework. We could use this with a student who has an essay or exams to do. So basically, it just means that we're overwhelmed with too much to do right now. So again, I really like this expression. Apparently it comes from America, but British people also use this idiom. So yeah, it's used interchangeably between British English and American English. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, and that is, I'm snowed under with work. Okay, one more time. I'm snowed under with work. Okay, so again, this means very busy or overwhelmed with something. So this phrase evokes the image of being buried under an avalanche. Okay, so you may wonder, what is an avalanche? So an avalanche is a mass of snow, ice, and rocks, and it's when they fall rapidly from a mountain. So, for example, if somebody goes skiing, somebody may be hurt or injured by an avalanche because the snow covers them and then they can't get out of the snow. So again, this is very similar to the one about being buried in work or the one about up to my ears. So in this situation, in this idiomatic phrase, instead of the work being kind of like water and them drowning in it, the snow is basically drowning them instead. So yeah, it's the sense that we're drowning in the snow and we can't breathe because we've got so much work to do. So yeah, this one's a very, very vivid idiom, again, which I like this one. And yeah, British people actually use it a lot. So let's look at an example sentence. I saw Sarah at work and she looked exhausted. She said that she was snowed under with work. So yeah, in this sentence, yes, Sarah is exhausted, and instead of saying that she's busy with work, she says that she is snowed under with work. So yeah, one more time. I saw Sarah at work and she looked exhausted. She said that she was snowed under with work. Now let's move on to the next idiom, and that is, my hands are full. My hands are full. So again, when we say that our hands are full, it means that we're so busy and that you don't have time to do anything else. So again, this idiom evokes the image that imagine that we're carrying lots of things in our hands and that we're not able to pick anything else up. So in that sense, we say my hands are full, meaning that I can't take on any more responsibilities, that I can't have anything else in my hands. So it's often used when somebody maybe asks you for help and you have to tell them that your hands are full, meaning that you're too busy, that you can't help them. Okay, let me give you an example. So imagine someone asks you for help at work. You may say, I'd love to help you with your work, but my hands are full. I'd love to help you with your work, but my hands are full. So we could just say, if we were keeping it simple, we would be saying, I'd love to help you with your work, but I'm so busy. Okay, but obviously this sounds quite simple, which is why we have these nice idiomatic expressions to say my hands are full, because again, it creates the image that yeah, we can't hold anything else in our hands because we're far too busy. Finally, let's move on to the last idiom, and that is keep one's head above water. Keep one's head above water. So the actual literal meaning of this idiom, well, when it's not used as an idiomatic expression, the literal meaning is to hold one's head out of water to avoid drowning. So if you're in the water and maybe it's too deep, then you would try to keep your head above water so you don't drown. So when it's used as an idiom, it means that you're just surviving, that you're so busy and you're only just surviving to manage to deal with your tasks, your responsibilities, your work. It can also be used in the situation where you're maybe in debt and you're trying so hard to stay out of debt. So it's kind of basically used in a situation where you're surviving, but only just. Okay, you're kind of at your bare minimum. Okay, so let's look at an example. So I may say, my work is so difficult at the moment. I'm trying to keep my head above water. One more time. My work is so difficult at the moment. I'm trying to keep my head above water. So, yep, this just means obviously my work is so difficult and I'm trying so hard to survive, maybe because it's so difficult and I have so much to do. So again, this idiom evokes the image of somebody almost dying, almost drowning, but they're struggling so hard because, yeah, they want to survive. So again, this idiom we use when we're in a very, very difficult situation. So it's maybe, this one is probably the strongest out of all of them because it's that we're really, really struggling. So yes, save this one when you're in a situation where you feel like you're really, really struggling and it's maybe too difficult and you're really, really overwhelmed by everything. That's all of the idioms that I have for you today. I hope they were all interesting. So I'll put the idioms at the bottom of this podcast so you can have a look at them and have a read of them again. And I'll also try and include the example sentences as well, because hopefully the example sentences will be a good way for you to see how they're used in a sentence. So yes, hope you all have a lovely day, and hope you're not as busy as a bee like I am, or I hope you're not buried in work like I am at the moment. But I guess at this time of year, it's maybe good to be busy. I think that being busy is often better than being bored or having nothing to do. So yes, hope you're all doing well and look forward to reading your comments. And yes, please don't forget to comment and to share this podcast as well. Thank you so much for listening. Bye bye.